Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Friday, so happy Friday to you. Some of the comments have been saying that, oh, why do you waste my time saying what day it is? I know what day it is. Well, my friends, I'm gonna hammer it in. It's Friday, it's the end of the week, and after this video, I'm gonna open a cold brewski with my bros. Alcohol free, of course. But for the very first video today, we will look at innovation, Ukrainian drones innovation. I'm sure you've seen it, but these are the Ukrainian fire-breathing dragon drones. Look at this stuff. That's a flying Ukrainian drone that's dropping thermite to Russian positions. It's very localized thermite. You know, Russians use the same tactics, but they bombard entire cities with thermite bombs. Well, Ukrainians use them for Russian trench lines lined with wood, so they all burn. So rendering the defense lines, you know, they just burn to the ground. And this is a relatively cheap and localized way to, for example, burn one certain trench line or defensive line to the ground. Genius. I'll read you a short comment from a Ukrainian former Marine who has been under Russian thermite attack. Having been on the receiving end of Russian white phosphorus and as a former Ukrainian Marine, I can't begin to imagine what the psychological impact on a Russian soldier is right now after seeing this up close and personal. Extremely good at destroying enemy concealment and promoting ammunition cook-offs, this has taken drone warfare for another level out of necessity, because we as the West are slowly providing the necessary arms to defeat Russia in Ukraine. This is a completely new idea and completely new weapon system. It's not extremely difficult to manufacture, but Ukrainians were first to do it. I'll read you now the Russian response, because 3 days ago, very first video of these thermite drones emerged, and now enough time has passed, we know what the Russians think about it. It can be stated that the use of thermite drones by the Ukrainian armed forces for burning out tree lines has become widespread and serially produced, and their effectiveness now looks much higher than in the initial videos. Unfortunately, in this situation, the Russian armed forces have once again taken the position of a catch-up, and now they will have to not only create their own analogs, but also look for means of countering these drones. These FPVs with an incendiary mixture are dangerous primarily because they are capable of burning out vegetation, grass, bushes, trees with foliage in a short period of time. This will open up the enemy's view of camouflage positions, which will deprive the defending units of property and ammunition, and the assault groups concentrated for the attack of the element of surprise. So they are cheap, mass-producible, and they're effective. Because concealment is one of the most important things in the Ukrainian front lines right now. In the southern Ukraine, not so much, but in the east, there's a lot of wood lines where you can build your wood-lined defensive position, trenches, you know, lined inside with wood. This thermite will destroy these trenches. The wood lining will burn, the trenches will possibly collapse, and trees will burn also, revealing everything underneath if you look at it from above. I've said it many times before, and I have my connections with the GUR of Ukraine also, which is deploying these drones, and they say that this war, the innovation that if any side innovates with the weapon system, it usually only gives 1 month of advancements to either side, because no side right now is ahead years, only months. If Ukraine brought out this drone right now, the month begins. Russians will adapt, they will develop countermeasures, and they will develop their own incendiary drones. That's how it has been. But for 1 month, more or less, there's this vacuum period when the enemy does not have a countermeasure and not have the same weapon system yet. You can be sure that in 1 month Russians will have this drone. But right now, the next 3 to 4 weeks, it's gonna be carnage. My friends, in case you're thinking what I'm wearing, then check this out. I love Ukraine t-shirt, and this is the Baba Yaga, the very same one that you bought for the last Christmas campaign for the GUR I just mentioned. You remember it? It was my biggest campaign, thanks to you guys. It's on a shirt. It's a nice shirt. It shows what I stand for. And you can show what you stand for by getting the same shirt. Look at it. rehistore.com. Link is in the description below. That's the shirt. I think it looks pretty neat. Go and get it for your grandmother or grandfather. Let them show also what they stand for. There's also a Ukrainian coat of arms hat. There are hoodies with the same designs. And I know for a fact that this "With Love from Ukraine" t-shirt is your favorite. I see it. Go and check it out. Link in the description below. What did I just do, my friends? Was that an advertisement? Yes, it was. Nobody's paying me because it's my brand. But I'm getting revenue by talking about it. If you buy that shirt, a part of it will go to Ukraine and a part of it is revenue for me. Why do I talk about this right now? Because this next topic brings this to light in such a great fashion that there was a huge leak on the Kremlin disinformation campaign assets in the West. And it's all connected to why I just showed you my clothing brand. It's all connected to military bloggers' revenue. Because turns out there are military bloggers or thought leaders in the West with followers of millions. They have millions of followers and they're paid massive amounts of money by the Kremlin every month. This is a long story. It's a deep story. Get your popcorn. We're going to go through it. I'm going to read you a few threads. After this, you're going to view some media in America differently. And it ties into Trump presidential campaign also. Get ready to be triggered. Just to ease us into this topic because it's so massive, I'll open up with Ryan Mcbeth, of course, because it gives us a great overview to begin with. Hit it, Ryan.
The TENET Media YouTube channel, which as of today is no longer active on YouTube, was accused of working with Russian spies as far back as October of 2023, at least according to the Department of Justice indictment. But this may have been going on for even longer.
I'll just stop and say right now, it's not accused as an opinion. It's the Department of Justice of the United States of America. I have no problem believing what they state. I believe it's a fact. TENET was funded by the Russians.
Justin Young of the Politics podcast explains it here.
So it's 2020. I get a cold email from RT to do a panel during the election. I do it. One of the other panelists is Lauren Chen. Now, Lauren Chen went on, apparently, according to this indictment, to get a job with RT and then eventually $10 million to found TENET Media. I didn't get that. I did get calls, though, to do appearances on RT programming. I always did. They never told me what to say, and then I stopped doing it when the Ukraine thing happened. But I looked back at my WhatsApp messages to see who was booking me. It was a woman named Elena. Who was named in that DOJ indictment? A woman named Elena. Unless there's a lot of Elena reaching out to American talent, I'm assuming it's the same woman.
That's a beautiful open up. It's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this just happened this week, actually. So it's all new information. It's connected to Donald Trump. It's connected to Tucker Carlson. It's connected to Elon Musk. Believe it or not, we're going to go down this rabbit hole. And I already know that some of the viewers might get a little upset about this next story. And now to go fully into the rabbit hole, I'm just going to read you Pekka Kallioniemi. He's the same guy from Finland who does Vatnik Soup. I'm going to read you his analysis. It's a long one. I'm going to read you the whole thing. So get comfy and get ready to get your mind blown by the Russian disinformation campaign in the West. In today's Vatnik Soup, I'll discuss the Kremlin's funding of Tennessee-based media company TENET Media. TENET Media is best known for their promotion of Russian narratives and for strong support for Donald Trump in the upcoming 2024 United States elections. Now, this is the same media that the United States Department of Justice in this week's report stated that they are paid by the Kremlin. There are Russian disinformation assets. First, it's worth stating that the funding originated from Kremlin-controlled RT and that the funding was masked through shell companies in countries like Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, Mauritius, with the money being described as payments for electronics. The two individuals involved from RT identified as Konstantin Kalashnikov, what a family name, my dude, and Elena Afanasieva. have been charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering and conspiracy to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act. These two also instructed the content creators. I am a content creator. I'm a pro-Ukrainian, I'm an Estonian content creator. I make money through various means. YouTube advertisements. I sell t-shirts, right? It's a very small amount of money from that, but still it helps to pay my bills. I talk about t-shirts. And I do advertisements. And then there are these guys, like Fume, for example, or Magic Spoon. You have seen these ads on my channel. They instruct me, they guide me what to say, what not to say. We talk back and forth until they like the 1 minute long advertisement, and then I air it. I put the link in the description and they pay me. That's how it works. There's nothing hidden about that. It's capitalism. We're in the same system. That's how I get to do what I get to do, because I do advertisements. These guys also did, but they chose to take money from the Kremlin. I didn't. I mean, I don't have the choice. There's no choice in me to do that. I would never do that. But it's very much connected to why pro-Ukrainian YouTubers do advertisements. You need to fund what you do, because the other side is funded by 100 billion, trillion government of Russia. Whatever is the Russian GDP, all of that money is being used for military purposes, and a huge proportion of that is being used for their assets in the West. They have that in their back. We don't. So I choose Magic Spoon, I choose Fume, I choose my t-shirts, which show what I stand for, you know. That's how I make money. That's my income. And I'm so riled up about this topic because I know my values inside. I know what I stand for, and I wear it. You know what I am. And these guys in the West, they have millions of followers. For example, the History Legends, right? You know this YouTuber. He has no values as a human. I think he's like a garbage human being, honestly. Playing one side, then playing the other side, just to get more views and more money. I mean, even if Ukraine is doing badly, I'm fully pro-Ukraine. I'm behind that cause. But he is spending one side, the other side. And turns out, Russia is paying huge amount, tens of millions combined to these guys in the West. I'll continue. It's going to be a long video. I'm very charged up about this. TENET was founded in 2022 by Lauren Chen and Liam Donovan, who is also the president of the company. Chen is a contributor to Charlie Kirk's non-profit Turning Point USA, and she has wrote opinion pieces for the RT between 2021 and 2022. I have previously written about the shift in tactics of Russian information operations, suggesting that instead of using bot and troll accounts with limited following, they started supporting social media super spreader accounts with huge reach. And if you think about, why would anybody do this, then get ready. I'm gonna now tell you what turned out to be the amount that Kremlin pays these guys. Some of these guys have like 1.5 million followers on Twitter. I know what Twitter pays. Twitter pays a really small amount of money. Like if you have tweets, if you have millions of followers, you still get like a few $100s a month maybe from it. You cannot live. Kremlin paid a few of these guys $400,000 a month just to do weekly videos. For $500,000 a month. That's the reason. It's money, it's greed, directly sold out, values sold out just for Kremlin's death money. That's how I see it, and that's how it is. Next, let's look at the people involved in TENET Media. Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, and Lauren Southern are probably the biggest names in the bunch, and this group alone has combined follower count of X over around 7 million. They also produce content on YouTube. Tim Pool, for example, did weekly videos in X and in YouTube, and he was paid almost $500,000 a month. His views are lower than mine, a lot lower. That means Kremlin would pay me a lot more. I would get like 750K with my views from Kremlin if I would choose to be pro-Russia. There's not a single cell in me that would ever do that. But that is the price. They pay huge amount of money. And people are willing to just sell themselves out. Me doing Magic Spoon, me advertising Fume, for example. You have seen these ads. Conflict of Nations, like the mobile game. It's not a sellout. This is my way to stay true for what I believe in. I get to wear this shirt. I get to be pro-Ukraine, but I have to make money somehow. So I choose these Western companies who produce a product that I see this maybe you guys like, and I show it to you. They pay me for it. The amounts are not even like comparable. They're like in different worlds compared to what Kremlin pays. But that's a choice I have made. There are other choices which I have not made. These guys have. Same with Jake Pro, same with Denis Davidov. These guys are pro-Ukraine. They have values. They don't sell themselves out. If you do advertisement of a Western company or a Western computer game or a product like Magic Spoon, this is just to survive. This is just to turn this into your job. If you sell yourself, your values, your ideology out to the Kremlin for money to push their imperialistic mindset and talking points, in my eyes, that is one of the biggest mistakes you can do in life. This is the topic that gets me going, because this is my job, being a YouTuber, being a military vlogger. This gets me going a lot. Out of the four, Tim Pool was the one who went all in with his videos. In one of his videos, he claimed that Ukraine is the enemy of this country, like America. That Ukraine triggered the conflict by blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, also suggesting that we should apologize to Russia. Like, I want to watch this video with you. And again, I will bring back to talk about history legends. I think he's Canadian military blogger slash YouTuber, sometimes pro-Russia, sometimes less pro-Russia, but mostly like leaning to the Russian side of reporting this war. I remember 2 years ago, I made a podcast with him, and then he was really quiet about his pro-Russian aspirations. Now he's very open about them because his videos got a lot of views. Pro-Russians didn't have a guy on YouTube, and he turned out to be their guy. In my eyes, he just sold out his Western values, or he has pro-Russian values. How can you live in a Western country and enjoy all the liberties, all the freedoms, everything that we have in the West? We have so much. I mean, you haven't been to Russia. If you have been to St. Petersburg. Go to any city outside of Moscow and St. Petersburg, a little bit to the east of the Urals. Go and visit the outhouses without plumbing, the drunks on the streets, no paved roads. We have a beautiful life in the West. And then to push Russian propaganda in this Western beautiful life, in my eyes, I can't. It doesn't fit in my head. So in my eyes, yeah, history legends and Tim Pool are on the same boat here. We'll watch a short video. I don't know if I can watch it. I mean, he's going to copyright me probably, knowing what the guy is. I mean, okay, I'm not going to watch it, but yeah. Tim's also been vocal over Ukraine on X, and especially on the United States military aid to the country. He's also suggested that Trump could potentially de-escalate the war quickly. Incidentally, these posts became much more common after TENET got their funding from Russia. Now it ties into Trump, because it has been now proven by the United States Department of Justice that TENET got $10 million from Russia, RT, the company, through electronics, payments for electronics. TENET is pushing a very pro-Trump election campaign, and the money straight comes from Russia. So I'm not going to say more here, but you know where I'm going with this. Johnson's main talking points have revolved around stopping the Ukraine aid and emphasizing the domestic problems in the United States, naturally caused by the evil Democrats. Apparently, he was paid $400,000 USD per month and also received a signing bonus of $100,000 USD. In the case of Lauren Southern, the Russian connection is more evident. In 2018, she visited Moscow to meet with Alexander Dugin, one of Putin's new Russia, Slavic Russia, nationalist Russia, creators of that idea. That's Dugin. He's like the brains behind this Russian imperialist idea of 21st century. A political philosopher who provided the blueprint for Russian imperialism in his 1997 book, Foundations of Geopolitics. Apparently, the Russian operatives could influence the content posted by TENET Media. Afanasyeva had requested the media company to post Tucker Carlson's visit to Russia and French grocery store, even though one of the producers felt like it was overt shilling. Tucker Carlson's video, you know, when he visited Moscow, and like, you remember that shenanigans, is very directly connected to it. Also, if you have visited Russia and you're so in love with the country, then I will make the claim that you have visited one of Russia's 5 largest cities, one of the top 5 cities. St. Petersburg or Moscow or the other three large ones. You really want to know what Russia is? Go east of Ural Mountains and visit any small village and spend a week there. You'll talk a different talk. In another example, Afanasyeva told the company that they should blame Ukraine for the Crocus City Hall terrorist attack, even though ISIS had previously claimed responsibility for the massacre. Chen replied that one of the influencers was happy to cover it. According to the indictment, TENET Media founders knew that both Kalashnikov and Afanasyeva were Russian, yet chose to work with them anyway. TENET Media's creators have huge online reach. Their 2,000 YouTube videos have amassed over 16 million views. Dave Rubin has already claimed that him and other commentators were victims of this scheme, but apparently they had no trouble receiving money from a fake persona called Edward Grigorian without doing background checks or performing their due diligence. Benny also referred to himself as the other influencers as a victim and as a strong advocate for freedom of speech. Yeah, it's one of the best like get away from jail free card in USA. If you're pushing Kremlin's talking points, usually idiots do it because they're like anti-Russia, but they talk exactly the same talk as the Kremlin. And if you go against it, like, what do you talk? I say to them, like, you sound exactly... Putin is saying that in yesterday's speech. The guy replies to me usually that I am anti-freedom of speech. Threatened to sue anyone who claims otherwise. So I'm not going to call him a Russian agent, but I really do think he is both greedy and naive. On the other hand, this shows how easily these online political commentators can be bought to share specific political narratives, even when they're formulated by the spin doctors of foreign state. I guess anything goes when you're paid $400,000 a month. Oh my God. I know how much money I'm making. This is my job. I keep on the numbers. It's a studio. It's editors. I pay for them. I run a small business here. I have 5 editors, by the way. A manager. I'm doing a podcast. It's all costs. I run up the costs and the expenses. I accept advertisements. I've already said, like, there's very strong red lines for me. I know what I do for money, and I know what I don't ever do for money. For example, tens of gambling companies that come to me. They pay huge amount of money. I always say no. I could accept that money tomorrow, make a huge amount of money like that. I can't, because I have values inside. This is why I'm so like riled up about this, because every online creator has a choice. It's not like you don't have a choice or you don't know. You have a choice to make. And I make a choice. I accept advertisements that I can use Magic Spoon. I'm a big guy, you know. I eat a lot of protein. I work out. I eat Magic Spoon. I can advertise them and they pay me. It's a lot smaller amounts. Like, they don't even compare. But that's what I take, because that's my values. And I have to make money according to my values. These guys, also history legends. Go and check him out if you haven't. I mean, I don't like the dude. They have betrayed the values of the land they live on. In reality, the Russian intelligence services prefer if you don't know you're working for them. A foreign agent can be knowingly working for the foreign government, or unknowingly working for a foreign government. The latter are often referred to as useful idiots. We have so many of them. Fortunately, it seems that United States officials have become more efficient in detecting foreign influence in the United States elections. In 2016 and in 2020, they fumbled badly, but this time they were able to report on a massive funding scheme before the elections actually took place. Of course, the usual suspects have already started deflecting on the subject. For example, David Sachs has shifted the topic to paid Ukrainian influencers. Paid Ukrainian influencers. Honest to God, I wish Ukrainian government would pay me. I wish. It's the meme that you guys are getting paid. Every time I went to Ukraine, I've been there 8 times now, 8 missions. Every time I went, I spent a week there. I didn't make videos, and I made 5 a week back then. I know exactly how much money a month I lost because I went to Ukraine. I lost income. Because going to Ukraine, you don't post for a week, your viewers go to other military bloggers, your videos are not online, you're not making ad revenue, you're not advertising like Magic Spoon and stuff. It hurt me quite bad, and I did it. I went to Ukraine. So, if there is an opportunity for me to be a paid Ukrainian influencer, where do I sign up? There's no such opportunity. They don't pay us. I wish they would. Completely oblivious to the fact that some people might actually defend a sovereign nation completely free of charge. Yes, I do it because I believe in it. Very hard to understand for some people. To conclude, Russia has shifted its online influencing strategy, and in addition to using vast bot and troll networks, they now provide monetary support for social media super spreader accounts via shell companies. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. And I say that again, History Legends, for example, might, I don't know if he is, but might be paid by the Kremlin. Cannot really be sure of that, but sometimes it seems to me. Now, my friends, we're going to watch 1 minute clip of Donald Trump answering questions, and he's asked about the sanctions. And his answer is very interesting, and I'm not going to say much about it, but I want to hear your opinion. I really do. Because I know I have quite a lot of Trump supporters watching me. So to understand my audience a little bit more, the comments, I do read a lot of comments. So it's your chance to write. What do you think about this? Do you agree? And I want to know how you think, because you watch me. I need to know.
My specific question is, would you strengthen or modify any of these economic sanctions programs, particularly Russia, including the pipeline you mentioned?
So basically, what do you think about the sanctions on Russia right now because of the Ukrainian war? Would you change them? Would you modify them? And here's the answer.
Well, it's a great question. The problem with what we have with sanctions, and I was a user of sanctions, but I'd put them on and take them off as quickly as possible because ultimately it kills your dollar and it kills everything the dollar represents, and we have to continue to have that be the world currency. I think it's important. I think it would be losing a war. If we lost the dollar as the world currency, I think that would be the equivalent of losing a war. That would make us a third world country, and we can't let it happen. So I use sanctions very powerfully against countries that deserve it, and then I take them off. Because look, you're losing Iran, you're losing Russia. China is out there trying to get their currency to be the dominant currency, as you know better than anybody. All of these things are happening. You're losing so many countries because there's so much conflict with all of these countries that you're going to lose that, and we can't lose that. So I want to use sanctions as little as possible.
Yeah, I'm not going to say much, but I will spend a lot of time today reading the comments because I know there's going to be a lot. I'll read you another, this time a lot shorter analysis. This topic is very close to me, very close to how I make a living. So you see I'm a little bit more charged than in other videos. So I want to cover this as much as possible because it's my topic. Russia's war against the West didn't start with the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. It has started the day Putin entered the Kremlin. However, since Putin uses methods of a KGB agent, it was for many invisible. He only used the military occasionally. But if you cared, it was quite obvious from the beginning. The Russia under Putin is the enemy. Right-wing and left-wing movements are his main tool to sow chaos and division in the West. It's the horseshoe theory. It's the center, and here is the right going down the left, and both extremes are very easy to be manipulated because if a person is extremist, it's psychologically studied. There's certain amounts of pressure from life needed and certain amounts of life experience, negative experience needed for a person to become extreme on left or on right or whatever they want to be. Religious extremism is a trauma response. If a person goes there, it is very easy to manipulate, because he has a very fixed set of ideas he wants to do, he wants to believe in. He has like these, I only see this tunnel vision. Such a person is very, very easy to push around. And Russian administration and Putin and Dugin, the political philosopher, they know this. and they're playing around with that in the West. This is why I find the fight against those movements incomplete, if Russia isn't taken into consideration. When you cut off the strings, then many of those movements and parties will become completely incapacitated. In fact, if you want to destroy fascists and communists worldwide, then you have to destroy Putin and the Russian Empire. Most of their funding, their propagandists and moral support would evaporate overnight. I do believe that with every cell of my body. It's not about the communist government of some country. It's not about the fascist ideas of some other regime. They're getting their money from somewhere, and usually far communist and far fascist countries are quite poor and doing quite bad. Russia has oil, Russia has gold, they have almost every kind of money asset in the earth. They can just generate money, they send it all across the world. It is Russia, it originates from Russia. The rest is the symptoms of Russian money in the world. I frequently hear and read the question how democracies can fight the rise of authoritarianism, right-wing movements and communist revival. My answer is simple. First step, eliminate Putin and Imperial Russia. I guarantee you that 70 to 90% of problems will vanish overnight. The puppets would lie lifeless in the corner and crave for a replacement, which will not be there anytime soon. Then what is left and what needs to be solved can be tackled in a meaningful way. With Putin, Russia in the way, you won't be able to solve many of your domestic issues because they are manufactured or reinforced issues by Moscow. True. And when I see American isolationist policies or this let's focus on internal problems, not Ukraine, this is the best Kremlin talking point ever because Putin is creating these internal problems. If I was Putin, if I was the dictator of Russia right now, what would I do? I'll tell you. You'll be glad I'm fighting for Ukraine because I'll tell you. I would find the issues that need to be solved in America. Gun violence, the border issues, medical care, university care, the deficit of the budget. I would find all of these issues as a Russian dictator. And then I would pay the hell out of any group in the United States who would bring those issues and scream about them as loud as possible, guiding everybody's attention to those issues, forcing the government to be inward-looking more and to be more like isolationist and not to help other countries. And then I'm free to invade whoever I want because America has such big issues inside. Germany has such big issues inside. Well, actually, they're not inside issues. They have always been there. Always. America has been in debt for 100 years. The border issue has been there for 50 years. Germany has had the far-right issue in the eastern Germany for... even at the time of communism, it was an issue. In the 90s, it was. In the 2000s, it was always an issue. But now it has been focused on, brought out. If I was the dictator of Kremlin, I would guide my puppets to not to force Russian viewpoints, but to talk the talk of America, talk the talk of Germany, and to just scream the local issue so that people would look at that and ignore what I'm doing in Ukraine. That's what I would do. Now, my friends, talking about what I would do as a dictator, every dictator is there because he has an entire nation, usually by the millions, sometimes tens of millions, and in Russia, 100+ million people endorsing him, enabling him. By not doing anything, you enable everything to happen that happens around you because you always have a choice to change it, to do something, to fight against it, even with your life. It takes an entire willing nation to commit genocide after genocide for centuries without interruption. It takes an entire willing nation to lie about their crimes. Germany had 1 decade and never did it again. Why? Because the entire world punished them. Russia commits same crimes as Nazi Germany for centuries. Why? Because they have never been held accountable. That ends with us. Guilty. All. We even have the responsibility. Russians have the responsibility for Putin's actions. Russian people have the responsibility. We in the West even have the responsibility for not punishing them. And it burdens me as an Estonian, as a citizen of the collective West, the EU, NATO, burdens me. I feel the responsibility of the death in Ukraine. That's why I'm doing this. This will not go unpunished. Now, my friends, to just rile up, it's Friday, to get myself and you ready for the cold brewski with the pros tonight, I'm just gonna give you a little eye candy. This is the first F-35A Lightning II fighter jet of the United States of America Air Force. It's not finished yet, they're yet to receive theirs. It's the US Air Force. It has landed for the first time on a highway in Finland, Hoosio Highway in Ranua, Finland. Now, Finnish battle doctrine, and they already deployed it in the Winter War, and it was extremely painful for Stalin. Their battle doctrine is a mobile war doctrine. It's a mobile, in-depth defense. 100 years ago, almost, they proved that they are very, very deadly with this doctrine. They're very hard to kill. Now it's even worse. Finnish highways, like Finland is a land of 1,000 lakes. They have small lakes, they have cliffs, they have dense forests. It's a very hard country to occupy. They have highways, just regular ways. They don't have these military airfields. They have purposely built strips of wide highways. If there is war, Russia doesn't have any airport to bomb. Because even if they bombard the few airports that Finland has, highways have been converted and built knowingly to be able to land F-35 fighters and other fighters, even bombers. You cannot take away enough tarmac from the Finns for them not to be able to use their air force. That's how they have built out their infrastructure by the decades, the last 50 years. It's genius. And if you have 1 million men, for example, Russia, you can invade Finland, but it would be so damn costly for you, so damn costly, and you cannot ever destroy their capabilities because you don't have enough ammunition. Because every highway, which is a little bit wider, specially built for that, in the middle of these forests and lakes, can be used as a military airbase. And don't get me started on the bunkers and defensive lines and mines that they're now building out. Finland and Russia, I would say, with the capabilities that Russia has right now, and in the next 3-4 years, they would lose the war with Finland in the end. That's a very bold claim, and I'm making it. Now, my friends, for the last time this week, my favorite part, and I know yours also, I see the comments. I see you, my dude. I'm gonna butcher some Buy Me a Coffee monthly members with my Estonian pronunciation, and I'm going to enjoy it. Vilgus Web, Daniel Turner, Silver Salm, Egbert Possum Bladder, Someone. Of course, the last is Someone. I gotta put that on a shirt. Someone for Ukraine. Well, thank you, my friends, for watching. I enjoy talking to you through this camera. I enjoy making these videos. And I'm able to do this, I'll say it one more time, thanks to you. Thanks to the Buy Me a Coffee monthly supporters. Thanks to this t-shirt. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of money, but it makes a portion. And with these portions, my income is complete. Thanks to the advertisements I accept. Thanks to the YouTube watch and ad revenue if the video is not demonetized. All of that combined is how I make money. It's a very knowing choice to make these things, Buy Me a Coffee, not to be forced take the money from Kremlin. I would never do that, but there are people who do. I just talk about it because it will balance out that pro-Western and pro-freedom military bloggers do advertisements. Some people don't understand it. I want to open that up a little bit more. That is the job. That is the work. The work is not only doing military blog. The work is to do military blog plus advertisement plus everything else you can do to balance out your sheet. I hope you understand. I'm running a small company here. This is pure capitalism. Without sacrificing your values. That is the main point. My friends, thank you for watching. And I expect you to be back on Monday. Then will be my next video. Until then, have a great weekend. Slava Ukraini and bye-bye.